there and share it with everyone in this area was really, really special for me, and just the support, and it's been tremendous from everyone in this area, and you could feel that there at that game.
Now, here's Sports on the Hill podcast.
That's right. It's Monday night. CP3 live from the lab. Sports on the Hill podcast, episode 185 on True Radio Network, coming to you live with the Caps game coming up versus the Buffalo Sabres. Going to be dropping the puck in probably about 5 to 10 minutes. We're going to be talking about that along with breaking down and recapping the past week, which they were 1-2, but still are tied for first place in the Metro with the Flyers. They are actually in first place because of one more overtime win than Philly, even though Philly has beat them head up, I believe, 2 out of 3 times, if not 3 out of 3. I know Robbie probably has that info. But then we're going to get into some NBA talk. The Wizards went 1-3, but Bradley Beal has been on a tear, putting up great numbers. They broke it down last week. I'm sure they'll be talking about it some more during the roundtable, and we'll have a music break. It's going to run a little late tonight. We're not sure. We're going to, talk some hockey, talk some playoffs. We're going to talk about Bradley Beal a little bit. I might even get in on the NBA roundtable. Then I'm going to break down the Week 5 XFL action with the DC Defenders coming back home and looking like the team that we thought they were when they left to go those 2 road games and came home and put up a 15-6 victory over St. Louis, who was heavily favored in this game. And we're going to break down that and just talk about some of the XFL goings-ons in Week 5. See if we got Robbie G on. Yeah, Robbie G on the line. Robbie, how you doing tonight, good sir?
I'm doing well. I'm just running around, playing with Zach outside, doing all sorts of crazy things. Just trying to, get it all in, being a dad, doing a podcast, doing some work, all that sort of stuff. But I'm happy to be on with you. And to answer your question, I actually believe Philly beat us 3 out of 4 times. We've already played them all 4 times. So I think they took the season serious for us. And the reason that we are up in the standings, you're right, it's based on row, which is regulation and overtime wins. So they had one more shootout win, which counts as an overtime win in the standings, but we had one more overtime win, I believe, than them, instead of a shootout. So that's the difference. Very close, obviously. It's just a tiebreaker. And for some reason in hockey, that's the main tiebreaker, and then head-to-head. So that's the difference right there.
Yeah, it always, hockey's always a little different. They're the ones that do the reseeding and the playoffs, which we applaud, which we with other leagues would do. But, it's going to be an interesting last, 14 games of the season, because things have tightened up very closely in the Metro. But before we get into that, I forgot to always say thank you for the listeners, contributors, and folks that tune in to Sports on the Hill podcast that keeps this operation and this movement going, bringing y'all DC sports while the politics. Make sure you go check out the website, sportsothp.com. Robbie keeps everything up to date for all the blogs, all the shows, all the videos, all the Facebook Lives, and all of that. So make sure you go check it out. If you're checking out my Facebook Live, I know it looks a little different. Had some technical difficulties, didn't have any audio, so all the graphics that I had put up nicely and all the stats that I had streaming for the Capitals and streaming for the Defenders is all for naught because I'm just streaming on my phone right now. You can any comments, questions, you can chime in, or you can call in on the True Radio Network hotline at 347-884-9299. Any comments, any questions, anything you want to talk about, feel free to call in. And on that note, I guess we'll go ahead and bring in Anna, and we can go ahead and start talking about this 1-2 week for the Capitals that feels not as bad as a regular 1-2 week because the victory that they did achieve, even though they did give up a 5-goal performance to the Rangers. I know we got Brian Brennan on the line. He's going to talk about that. So, Anna, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. It's always fantastic to talk to you guys on a Monday when it's like 75 degrees outside. It's just my kind of weather, and I can't complain. So, and of course, having to relay the stats with a 10 loss is always a good thing.
do want to mention, Carol, it's 1-1-1. I know you always like to look at the bright side. We were able to get 3 points.
Yeah,
so,
true.
Instead of 1 and 2, we're gonna call it 1-1-1.
True.
Just a little bit better.
Yeah, it was definitely it was an up and down week. Started out, we talked about the Philly game, we talked about the rain, we talked about them last week, and I don't think any of us had it playing out the way it played out. So let's go ahead and start recapping it so we can get in some of this Caps talk and some of this playoff push stuff we're going to be talking about since we're so close to the playoffs.
Yeah, Anna, how was the game? I know that I happened to listen real quickly. Quick shout out. You did a great job on the Power Play Point podcast this week. Everyone should go check that out after they listen to tonight's show. It was interesting to hear your perspective, but give our listeners a little bit of a sense of what it was like to go. I know it's kind of an early birthday present. I know it's your birthday tomorrow, so happy early birthday. But what was it wasn't quite the game you were hoping for, but what was it like, being there, and also if you could break down that scoring?
Absolutely. Gosh, the fact that somebody who has a season ticket holder seats in the 200s and is willing to give me a seat, not even. She's never met me. We're friends via Twitter, and she's a listener on the show. It's so awesome to me. There's just, there are good people out there, and I always just, I want to ride that wave for a while. So sitting in the 200s, I will tell you that it was really fantastic. It was the first time I had seen that Jumbotron, which is quite huge. I wasn't quite sure what to think about it, but, the graphics were amazing. Anytime they have anything on the ice is always just so fantastic. Bob McDonald sang, there was a good vibe, but then, I don't know, there was just something about the team that just kind of fell flat, and unfortunately Lisa and I, who are huge diehard fans, both kind of felt that going into the game. But I will say, you can't go wrong with Russ Johnson announcing, can't go wrong with the military appreciation, can't go wrong with Holtby in the net. All that stuff made up for it. Unfortunately, this was the worst game to see live. Just, my gosh, I thought they just, I guess there were certain people who were watching it who thought they looked fantastic on screen, and maybe it was just live. I thought they looked sluggish, and just there was this big old disconnect. Unfortunately, I was really kind of hoping to go into this and be like, yes, we've got this, look at us rocking it, and unfortunately that really fell flat, but, whatever, it happens. I don't go to a whole lot of games, and I've been to some that we've won and some that we've lost, and this one, I will say, because it was Flyers, it was kind of hard to swallow, but that's okay. So if you guys, sorry.
Well, no, I was going to say, their fans travel, both a lot like the Pittsburgh fans. I've actually gone to a bunch of Flyers games over the last 20 years, and I've always been impressed by the number of fans there. You could hear them on TV. They were pretty vocal, which is obviously disappointing. But I have to give the Flyers a lot of credit. I mean, this looks like a bad loss on paper, and I know that you were talking about on the other show about how it was just not a particularly great effort all the way through for the Capitals. But a lot of credit needs to be also given to the Flyers. They have been destroying teams. And we had Brian Brennan on last week talking about the 2 losses that they faced to the Flyers. They've been playing some phenomenal hockey. So, I know everybody was trashing on the Capitals after this loss in a lot of the fan groups, which is kind of hard to watch and listen to. But I think some credit. I know Carol's always very good about this. But the other team gets paid to play too, and the Flyers are playing some exceptional hockey right now. So I think, as frustrating as this game was, I think a lot of credit needs to be given to the Flyers for the game. Carol, what were some of your thoughts?
I definitely agree. The Flyers, they've been playing some good hockey. They're fast, they're aggressive, they take away time and space. They've been getting solid goaltending from Carter Hart and Elliott. Elliott actually started this game because Hart doesn't fare as well on the road, so they went with Elliott. But they're playing some good hockey. They definitely are, a team to watch. I don't want to say they're peaking at the right time, but, I mean, it's a little early. They're a young team. Get to the playoffs. It's a whole different ball game. And, I mean, the Capitals, in this game, it was ugly to me with just the amount of penalties that they were called for. I'm not going to say the refs missed a lot of calls of the Flyers, but it should have definitely been more penalties called on the Flyers. I believe they only had one power play, I believe. Hopi, some of those goals you would like him to make, that saves you would like him to make on those shots. But, I mean, like you say, the Flyers are playing some good hockey. They're in the rhythm right now. They're in the groove. And because of the penalty issues, the Redskins, I'm already in football mode. The Capitals weren't in rhythm and weren't in sync, and you know how it goes when you're on a penalty kill. Your top line doesn't get the minutes, and then it just trickled down. So I don't think they ever were in the rhythm in this game. So I think that could attest to Anna saying that they just looked lethargic. I just think because they never got in the rhythm because of all the penalty calls, and that second period was atrocious. 3 goals given up, and I think it was 2 or 3 power plays in that period. So they just got to clean up the penalties. Definitely, that's the only thing that I'm really worried about right now.
Yeah, there was actually, according to my notes right here, there were 5 penalties on the Capitals in the second period. Only 1 power play goal scored against us, but that was mostly. But one of the other goals was scored right after a power play was over, and I agree that the penalties got him out of the rhythm. But what I'd like to see was with Garrett Hathaway's goal at the end of the second period, there was some momentum. And even with all the bad calls going against them, it was still a 3-2 game. So it was still very winnable by the Capitals. I was kind of disappointed that I thought in the beginning of the third period the Caps started to pour it on a little bit, but they weren't able to get any breaks. And then obviously the backbreaker was that first goal to make it 4-2, and they ended up making it 5-2. But there was an opportunity there, even with all the calls going against them, that I thought they missed at the beginning of that third period there. If they could have just put one of those in, it could have been a very different game. But overall, I thought that it was a good playoff-style hockey game. It could have gone either way. I'm disappointed that, Anna, your birthday game kind of got a little bit spoiled. But I do love the new in-game graphics and video screens and stuff like that. I highly recommend people can get to one of these remaining games. I couldn't believe it, Carol. You're right. There's only 14 games left. For some reason, I thought it was closer to 20. But, yeah, there's not that many games left in the regular season. So the Caps need to try to hopefully build on the Penguins game on Saturday in this live game against Buffalo, which I want to just give a quick scoring update. It's still 0-0, about 4 minutes into the first period or so. So the game is being played in Buffalo. They're playing in their blacks, and we're playing in our road whites. But overall, I think we've kind of talked enough about this game. Carol, is there anything else before we move on to the Rangers game?
Let's go ahead and get into this Rangers game because, I got a lot to say about Zibanejad.
Yeah, so I was going to say that I feel like that was one of the names, like, I mentioned something in like last season, saying that I just absolutely love the name Tuukka Rask, and I think this player was Carol's favorite name.
You are correct. You are correct.
Yeah. But holy shit, 5 goals. But anyways, let's go with the next night. The Caps play the Rangers, and we have Carl Hagelin gets his 8th at 7:05, assisted by Jensen and Covey, which is fantastic. Rangers tied up at 9:01, and then the second period, the Rangers scored twice. But Covey gets on the board at 12:01, assisted by Eller and Panik. Sorry about that. And then Garnet Hathaway scores his 9th at 14:58, assisted by Kempney and Panik. And now we're tied 3-3. 30 seconds into the third, the Rangers scored, but then Ovi comes back at 9:22 to tie it up. The Rangers scored 18:18, followed by Ovi scoring his 47th at 19:47, assisted by Kovalchuk and Carlson. Leading it into overtime, and unfortunately, Carol's favorite name, 33 seconds into the overtime, gets his 5th of the night, and the Caps lose with a 5-6 loss. But holy shit, 5 goals. Like, that to me, you can't, I can't say anything bad about the guy. Sorry, but now the Sabres just scored.
Yeah, I was watching it. Yeah, short side, Hopi, got him right over the glove, shoulder side. That's most goalies' weak spot right there. That's what they were shooting at on Murray on Saturday, and that's where he shot it short side and got it. It was I don't like when they give him that much space. You give him too much space, and there's just too much space on that play, in my opinion.
Right. Let's go back to this New York game real quickly. I couldn't believe how well Zibanejad played in this game. It was a back and forth great hockey game. I have to give the Rangers a lot of credit. They put together an incredible game. I thought, when Zibanejad scored at 18 of the third, I thought it was over. I mean, it was a power play goal. You can't give up a penalty that late in the game. It sort of killed them. John Carlson, once again, I mean, there was 3 penalties in a row in the third period. Lars Eller, followed by John Carlson, followed by Lars Eller again. And, they basically had 6 minutes of a power play. And, anytime you get 6 minutes of a power play and you have to be on the penalty kill for that long, it's really difficult, especially at the end of the game in a game that close. And so, they obviously scored there. But I thought Ovechkin did what we do best. I mean, we're leading the league on 6-on-5 goals. I don't particularly love that stat because it means we're down. But Ovechkin did it again off of a great rebound. His 47th goal, so he tied it in the goal scoring race. He's since then, I believe, been surpassed again. But he's right up there, only 3 away from 50. But they have the same 3 players that have been playing terrible all game on 3-on-3, and they just basically split the middle and gave a free goal up 33 seconds later. I love Kuzi. We've talked about Kuzi a lot on this show, but he just wasn't playing particularly well tonight, that night, and I just don't understand why he's on in that situation, and he just gets burned badly. And so that was pretty frustrating. Zibanejad got his 38th goal of the season and put him all the way up to 5th place in the goal scoring race. Carol, your quick thoughts, and then I'm going to bring Brian Brennan in to give his thoughts from the other team's perspective.
This game was, I was actually watching at work, but I was keeping tabs on it. This was a frustrating game because the Caps had chances to lock down defensively, and they didn't. Zibanejad, he was one of the players to watch during the game. He has been hot since February and continued in this game. He actually got first star of the week, which was aided by that 5-goal performance. It was just amazing to see Ovi be able to get that goal, as you said, 6-on-5. They're tops in the league. I mean, you're going to be down, in games, and it's good to be able to, bring that extra man on and to be able to execute so proficiently and be able to, force a game in overtime. Unfortunately, in the overtime was a turnover, bad transition. As you said, they split the defense, and Zibanejad did what he's been doing. He got in the back of the net and won the game. So at least they got a point, which put him in the tie with Philly going into the Pittsburgh game on Saturday. But let's go ahead and get Brian Brennan's take on this Rangers victory over the Capitals with Mika Zibanejad having a game of his life.
Real quickly, before I bring Brian in, I just have one last question for you, Carol.
All right.
And that is, do you think the players that have been playing poorly throughout that game, and it had been a minus, should have been on the ice to start the 3-on-3? I know it's one of their best 3-on-3 pairings, but do you think that was the right call?
I can't be mad at it, but I see your point. I didn't really get to watch as close to see Kuzi, not having a good game, so I really can't speak on that. But if they weren't playing well, I would have probably, mixed it up. But then, how Kuzi is in the overtime with the 3-on-3 when he can, when he get the puck on his stick, he can make magical things happen. So I can see it either way. But it would have been nice to start out with a different pairing to see what would have happened if they would have put somebody else out there. So I definitely see your point.
Yeah. I'm going to bring Brian in, and my first question to Brian is, have you ever heard of a player, A, getting 5 goals, and scoring the game winner in overtime, but still being a plus-minus 0? He was on for all 5 goals again, which I thought was an incredible stat that I saw later. They didn't play great defense, but his offense obviously powered this team. What were some of
arch rivals, the Caps, who are also trying to win their division as well and hold off the Flyers and Penguins. To have a game like this and to have Mika Zibanejad score 5 goals, and also to not forget, Artemi Panarin had 3 assists, including the beautiful assist for the game-winning goal in overtime. This was the Rangers' best win of the season, and no, I've never heard of anybody being a net zero in a game where they scored 5 goals. That's pretty crazy, but that just goes to show you how crazy of a game this was. I have to give credit to the Capitals for coming back with being up 6-on-5 like that. I mean, I didn't realize they scored that many times up 6-on-5, but that was really impressive and just really a great game of hockey. I'm sorry you guys had to lose, but really just a great game.
Yeah, I was actually kind of hoping that game would go to overtime because I felt like the Rangers had played such a hell of a game. They deserved a point. I was hoping we would get the extra point, but, it's one of those games where we talked about this before. There's good losses and there's bad losses, right? This to me was a good loss. They played well. They could have carryover momentum going into the Penguins game. The effort was there. It wasn't like they just didn't try for 40 minutes and maybe poured it on in the last 20. I thought the effort for both teams was there the whole game. I just thought it was an incredible game both ways. But it'll definitely be interesting. What are your thoughts? I know that the Rangers are right on the outside of the bubble. Real quickly, before we get into the Penguins game, Brian, what are your thoughts on the Rangers and their chances on making the playoffs this season?
Well, we just kind of had a really difficult week where, if you guys remember, we lost to the Flyers twice, and then we lost to the defending champion St. Louis Blues on Tuesday, and then we had the great win against the Capitals, then went right back on Saturday and had probably our worst loss of the season against the arch rivals, the Devils. So I'm not feeling that. Honestly, a lot of Rangers fans I've seen on social media and Twitter are saying that the loss to the Devils on Saturday was a season crusher. I don't know if I'll go that far. The season's not over yet, but it's going to be tough to come back from losing to your arch rivals like that, especially when they're really not a good team on your home ice. So we'll see how that goes the rest of the season. But the game on Thursday was great. It still definitely kept the postseason hopes alive, and we'll see how it goes the rest of the season. It's been a fun season no matter what.
Sounds good. Real quickly, I want to give an update on the Eastern wildcard standings and the Metro standings in the sense that the sort of, because the 4 top teams that we're talking about here, Columbus has got the number 1 spot, Carolina's got the number 2 spot with a big win over Pittsburgh. Then the Islanders are in the free fall. They've lost 6 in a row, and then the Rangers had an up and down week, as we just talked about. But all of them are separated by only 3 or 4 points. So it's still very close in the wild card, so it'll be interesting to see who ends up getting those last 2 spots. But Brian, thank you for helping us break down the quote-unquote enemy's perspective, and we'll bring you back on to preview a big game against the Knicks and Wizards talk in just a little bit.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me on, guys.
All right. So I guess with that, Anna, can you help us break down this wonderful Pittsburgh game on Saturday?
Oh, absolutely. The Saturday matinee game was played in Pittsburgh, and the first period was absolutely dominated by the Capitals, with Dowd scoring his 6th, Backstrom scoring his 12th, and Connick scoring his 9th. There were no goals in the second. In the third period had Dowd scoring his 7th, 34 seconds in. The Pens scored twice, but TJ Oshie scores at 13-12, assisted by Backstrom, to give the Caps a much-needed 5-2 win. And I will say, this to me was the Capitals at their best of all the games. They really looked tight. They looked, they were on it. The chemistry was there. The communication, whatever you want to say. And I think one of the biggest stats I saw was that we had 14 minutes in penalties, okay, but we also had 45 hits versus 26 for the Pens. So this is a game that they were really going to come out strong. They proved it, and I was impressed. I absolutely love this game, and I loved it even more that it was in Pittsburgh and that it was an afternoon game. It was fantastic.
Girl, I'll let you go first with this one.
Yeah, this was definitely a a great game to watch as a Capitals fan. You got 60 minutes of hockey. They came out the gate, scored early with Dowd, and we were talking about the Kovalchuk trade and how the trickle down with him going to the third line and moving Dowd down to the fourth. Panic down to the fourth line. It's paid off dividends because you saw scoring from Dowd getting 2, Panic getting 1, Hathaway getting in the game before on the scoreboard. Kovalchuk got his first goal. So this right here is the type of hockey we need to see from this team going forward. We haven't really seen it for the first 10 minutes of this game, but they're on the road in Buffalo, and Buffalo's been playing some good hockey. And they do have the good old Wayne Simmons, the old Flyer, old L.A. Kings guy that always has the Capitals number, always seemed to score. He was just mixing up in front of the net a little while ago. But this performance is Capitals hockey at its best. And like you, Brian said about the Rangers game, he felt like that was the best game they played all year and won. I feel like this was the best we've seen this team play for a while now. They started out hot, playing some solid hockey. They fell off a little bit, but this game was, to me, the prime example of Capitals hockey, Capitals winning hockey. And if they can get that effort, I'm not going to say every night going forward, 14 games left, but start around their team a game in form and start playing like they played Saturday, then this team is going to be definitely dangerous going into the postseason. What about you, Robbie?
Yeah, well, when you have 2 out of the 3 players on our fourth line being 2 of the 3 stars on the road, because it's if people don't know, the way that they pick the 3 stars is all the media at that arena gets to vote on it, and decide on it. So the fact that all 3 stars were Caps, which happens when you win by 2 or 3 goals, but I thought that Nick Dowd just played a hell of a game. He deserves such a huge shout out, especially for his the second goal was pretty amazing. The shorthanded goal by Carl Hagelin. I love those 2 together on our penalty kill. I think that they're fantastic. I think that was really a huge momentum shift in this game because I know we were already up 3-0, and so you could sort of see, it doesn't really matter, but you knew the Penguins are going to put a couple of goals up on the board, and in fact they did just a couple minutes later, with their 2 big guns, Crosby and Malkin, unfortunately, but it made it, instead of it being 3-2 at that point, it was 4-2, and then obviously TJ Oshie's goal was huge. I mean, obviously 4-2, there's still like 8 minutes left in the game, so you know that they're going to pull their goalie. They ended up doing that for 3.5 minutes, even though it was 5-2, but TJ Oshie's, I thought his answer, his response to the Malkin goal, just not even a minute later, I thought was big, because I think momentum would have shifted pretty badly the other way without that. So I just thought it was a really complete game. I really enjoy the third and the fourth line. I actually think that they're outplaying the first 2 lines currently, but that's good. I would rather that, because I think the first 2 lines will get their act together. But I really also enjoyed that after the penalty kill, the all-Russian line. We talked about it a little bit last week. We saw a little more of it this week. That will pay dividends for us in the playoffs. The fact that when you have to, after a power play or a penalty kill, shuffle your lines, I think trying to figure out how those lines will look in that temporary period for 1 or 2 shifts after they get back to the normal lines becomes a really important thing for us to look at going forward. And if that all-Russian line can score some goals off of momentum from successful penalty kills, I think that will be huge for us in the playoffs. And there's a couple of things I saw, but just as you were mentioning before, I just thought it was a really complete game. I think that some people were like, the Penguins shot the bed the next day to Carolina. Maybe the Penguins aren't as good as we thought. But the reality is Penguins came in on a 2-game win streak. We came in on a pretty big losing streak. And I think if we find a way to win this game, I think it'll prove that it wasn't a fluke win by any means, but I thought a complete game of hockey. Just reminding people, there's 8:45 left in the first period. It is still currently 1-0 Buffalo. Buffalo is in currently the Capitals' defensive zone, and they're buzzing a little bit here. But overall, as Carol was saying, Buffalo has been playing well. They've had an up-and-down season, as they often do. But
Robbie, going back, I want to touch back on the the all Russian line thing in the playoffs. See that's the only catch-22 to that is if you can do that when you have to do that when they've been killing penalties a lot. So I don't want to see that line in that situation because that means they've had 2 or 3 penalties where they've had to shuffle those lines because either Wilson was on there or Hagelin or whatever. So I like to see that line. That'd be a good wrinkle to add to, a playoff game or, something going on. But I don't want to see it in that instance of them having to shuffle the lines because of having to kill extra penalties because that's never, especially in the playoffs, never good to be killing that many penalties where you have to shift your lines and shuffle your lines because you aren't getting enough minutes from your top 6 because you're constantly on a penalty kill. I just wanted to make that point because I don't mind seeing it, but I want to see it for the right reasons, not because of the penalty kill.
Right. No, and I understand what you're saying there. I just want to mention that a puck just went through the glass, through one of those holes for the cameraman, and got somebody in the face pretty badly. They actually stopped play to make sure that he was okay. But I agree. I don't want to say it too often, but I think there's a lot of energy to be gained from successful penalty kills, and obviously we're taking a lot of penalties. I want us to take less penalties, but it's important to sort of capitalize on that momentum, and then it gives a chance for them to go to the second line that's got no penalty killers on it, then to the fourth line, and then back to 1 and 3 on their normal rotations. So it just gives them a chance, because you're already going to have to mess up the lines. You may as well have a team, one that maybe can score or get some good chemistry going the other way, especially in certain circumstances. Ovechkin, like for delay of game and certain penalties, will sit in the box. So if he can just sort of escape the box and then they can do a quick line change, maybe they can catch another team napping as well. But we've talked enough about lines. Let's talk a little bit about the Sabres team. The Sabres team has definitely had a rough week. They're coming off of a loss to the Philadelphia. They're coming off of a bunch of losses to Pittsburgh and Winnipeg. So they're coming in a bit hungry. They currently sit with 66 points. The likelihood of them making the playoffs is pretty small. They're 13 points back, but obviously they need every one of these points. Capitals there just had a good opportunity, and they're now buzzing in their offensive zone. So we'll see if they can produce here. But unfortunately, Buffalo was able to clear the zone. 7 minutes and 15 seconds left. Let's jump over this game real quick and talk about the week ahead. There's going to be a Red Wings game in Washington on Thursday at 7. The Red Wings have been having a rough time of it. They have already been eliminated, one of the fastest teams to ever be eliminated. But obviously they're always dangerous in the sense that they've now won 2 in a row, including victories over Chicago and Tampa Bay. Anna, what are some of your thoughts on playing the Red Wings back at home on Thursday?
Yeah, regardless of the stats, you have to just consider the fact that it's a team that, it doesn't have anything too much to lose going forward. So they may just give it their all, and there's no reason why the Capitals can't give it their all. I mean, we're not in a position right now, especially with how the points are with the Flyers, to kind of relax a little bit. Absolutely not. This team still needs to come forward with 60 minutes of hockey. They still need to come out strong. They still need to, watch the penalties. Especially, I love Dylan. I love number 4. I do. But he's got a lot of penalty minutes going so far, and it's like, well, let's kind of, pump the brakes a little bit on this one. But I just think, this would be a great team for the Capitals to go up against, and almost like, not that I want the Capitals to think of it like a scrimmage, because that's like very downplaying everything, but it's like, go into it open-minded, get that chemistry going, get the communication going, get that vibe going again, because we've really been missing that. And go forward. But don't take the team for granted. There's no reason to play sloppy hockey just because you think, the Wings are out. It's like, that shouldn't even be in the realm of their thinking. They need to go forward and play it like any other NHL game.
I agree. Carol, do you have any other quick thoughts on Detroit?
Yeah, I really don't see them taking anybody for granted. They've been one of the more inconsistent teams since the All-Star break. The last 10, they're 4-4-2. They definitely need to, get all on the same page. They're all saying that, they have to get consistent on all four lines, offensively and defensively. So they know what they have to do. They just have to do it. They're talking about it now. It's time to be about it. And watching this game, I see the effort. I see, I don't see anything, to get upset about. It's early, still in the game. They're on the road, and we know that their game is predicated, on wearing the other team down, being physical, and racking up the hits. So we're going to see if the forecheck game comes through and wear this team down and see if this team can start scoring again. We just saw the fourth line on the ice again, and they were you're talking about they were buzzing in the offensive zone. That was the fourth line, putting in work, getting the forecheck, going after loose pucks and hustling, and that's what we need to see from all four lines.
Right. In fact, I believe they just drew a penalty. So I think that the Capitals, when they come back on this after this commercial break here, they will be on a power play. So hopefully they're able to tie this game up right here. And that's one of the things that I really want them to practice and work on over these last 14 games is our power play with the amount of goal scorers and amount of players we have should be top 5 in the league. The fact is that, we're not even in the top 10, I believe. So it's pretty disappointing with the amount of talent we have on this team. We should be able to field 2 5-player awesome power plays. People should be, remember a couple years back, people would not want to take penalties against us because it was almost a surefire goal. Now, our power play currently doesn't strike fear in anybody. In fact, we've had so many shorthanded goals scored against us. Now, we have cleaned that up over the last couple of weeks, but now that we've cleaned up that part of it, we need to start scoring ourselves on it. And so that's going to be really interesting. Also, people are saying, well, you don't need to win the division. Some people are like, sometimes it's not so good. But I really do not want to fall into the second or third spot in this division. I'm okay with not being a trophy winner, but I don't want to play Pittsburgh or Philly in round 1. I mean, I'd rather play Pittsburgh than Philly, but which is weird to say, but just because Philly seems hot right now, and I think we played Pittsburgh better this year. But at the same time, I don't want to play either of them. I want them to beat each other up in a 7-game series, and I would rather play, a Carolina, a rematch of last year, or a Columbus, or even an Islanders or a Rangers team before I'd rather play, Pittsburgh over Philly again. So, as you guys are saying, it's important to get these wins here. The last game of the week is going to be on Saturday. It's a 7 o'clock game. It's against the Blackhawks, and the Blackhawks haven't been playing particularly well this season, but they have 70 points. 76 gets you in currently in the wild card in the West. So even though they sit in 6th in the wild card ranking and the top 2 make it, they're still right in it. They've lost 2 games in a row, but they're going to need these points badly. So we're going to play a desperate team on a Saturday night, but there's going to be all the lights on. It's going to be a big crowd, and it should be an exciting matchup. And what are some of your thoughts on the Blackhawks?
I never count them out, to be honest. It's a team that I'm like, Patrick Kane, not that he's the only person on the team, but it's just that name that sticks out. And when it comes down to those crucial plays and those now we're down to the wire kind of thing, I would not count them out. I do think, they're 31, 30, and 8. So, are they? I don't know. I mean, they're only 2 games above Buffalo. But it's like, oh, come on. But at this point, I think with the captain's consistencies and the way that they're playing, we can't just think it's going to be a shoo-in. So I truly, even though it's going to be at home, which we all love, I'd love to see them rally. But I think if the Capitals can get the Buffalo game tonight, and get that momentum going for knowing how strong they can be and tighten up the lines and the communication, the chemistry, everything. There's no reason why they can't do Buffalo, Detroit, Chicago, and then if the Oilers have to be their sort of iffy game, I'll take it.
Yeah, it's Carol,
you said, they've been having an up and down season. They're still a formidable opponent. They can still put up 4 or 5 goals if you sleep on them and don't play solid defense. So it's definitely going to be a game that the Capitals going to need to be on their P's and Q's and playing solid hockey, especially defensively, because it can turn into a high-scoring game if they don't play proper defense. So it's all 3 of these games are winnable. The question is, are the Capitals going to be able to get consistency from the defensive side and from all 4 lines offensively to see if they can round in a form and get ready for this playoff push?
Yeah, I did particularly love that power play right there. I thought the Caps played pretty sloppy. I thought that Buffalo teams now know they just got to play the Caps aggressively. And the reality is, I mean, Ovechkin's a great goal scorer, but they're shading him, and they just got to find ways to get quick passes to get people open. And it doesn't matter who it is, but they just got to keep, putting pucks on net. I think there's too much passing, not enough zone time, and just overall, I just don't really like. I mean, if teams are going to play aggressively like that, then you need to overpass to some extent to open up some lanes. But I just think that they're not really setting it up particularly well, and other teams are sort of figuring us out. So I think we need to put some more risk. And
I was going to say the same thing. It's like we've become completely predictable. And how frustrating is that? You want to say, oh, it's good, it's golden, we've got this, and other players, and other teams are like, hey, you know what, we're on to you guys, and here's what we're going to do to shut you down. So, it's like some things need to shake up, but I'm just not quite sure what I need to see in the next couple of games, but I would love to know both of your opinions, and I'm sorry to go over, and if you don't want to answer until next week, that's fine, but I would love to know your opinion on who should be in the net for the next couple of games.
Sure. One last game I just want to mention, our next week, Sports OTHB 4-year anniversary show will be against the Oilers. There'll be a live game there. There's also going to be a live Wizards game. We'll break that down during the Wizards talk, but we'll have both teams playing live during our 4-year anniversary show, and then we start season 5 at the end of the month, so just a quick little shout out for that. But that's going to be a tough game against the Oilers on Monday as well, so it's kind of, we've got Holtby in this one. My gut real quickly is we put Sam, since he's lost a bunch in a row, I need to see him against the Red Wings. You put Holtby back against the Blackhawks, and then depending on how those go, I probably put Holtby back against the Oilers, but I might, if Sam plays well against the Red Wings, I might want to see Sam one more time. Carol, what are some of your thoughts on that?
It's time to start locking Holtby in, giving him more time in the net. Samsonov has lost his last 5 in a row. Not saying because he's played horribly, but we've talked about the defense and the amount of penalties that they've given up on the power play for the opposing team. So it's just time to get Holtby locked in. He's been definitely playing better. Like we just talked about the penalty issues. But a lot of the goals he's been giving up has been on the power play. He's been, playing pretty well 5-on-5. I don't really see a reason why to keep going back and forth now. We know Holtby is the contract year. This might be his last run with the Capitals. I say go ahead, let him get comfortable, get in goal, and start rocking and rolling. And on the playoff thing, as I said at the beginning of the season, I don't care who this team plays. When they're rocking and rolling and playing their game, they can beat any team on the road or at home. They're the top road team in the league, top 6-on-5. They just fix some of the 6-on-5, some of the defensive issues, and I think they'll be fine. The power play, I mean, they can shuffle it. I think they probably are working on stuff to push forward, playoff time or, whatever. You don't want to show too much, but like you mentioned with the all-Russian line, they might be mixing things up in practice and waiting to pull it out, during the playoffs to see, folks are used to this style. They've been top 5 for so long. I think they're ranked like 11th right now, but the penalty kill is ranked in the top 5. So, I mean, I'm not really mad at that. I'd rather have a stellar penalty kill than a humming power play anytime, because we've seen what happened in the playoffs. The penalties don't get called that often. So what's the point of having a killer power play if you're not going to use it? But when those crucial penalty kills come up, you want to be able to lean on your penalty kill to know that, hey, they can keep the puck out the back of the net and make up for a mistake that was made. So I'm not really too concerned about the power play. I mean, they've been so good for so long. I'm not really, concerned about, them being 11th right now.
Right. With that, Anna, I just one more shout out. If people missed it at the beginning, Power Play Point podcast. You guys had a great episode, a very special guest. People should go check that out. I thought they broke down the last week. They got to talk about a win that we talked about last week, as well as some of the games. They had a great show, and they can go to sportsothp.com, click the Power Play Point podcast button, and check out the latest episode right there. Or Gil has shared it to a ton of different caps groups. I saw that as well. But Anna, I want to wish you an early happy birthday tomorrow. I hope that they can get a win here or find a way to come back for you tonight, or at least have a good week upcoming. I hope that you get everything else that you want on your birthday as well. Do you have any final thoughts before we let you go tonight?
No, that's sweet. I appreciate that, at certain ages where you're like, the birthdays, are they that big of a deal? Yeah, they are. You know what? Everyone should embrace their trip around the sun and just be like, this is it. So I'm okay. Tomorrow I am turning 45, and I'm totally okay with it, and I appreciate you guys having me on this week. And I'm really hoping for a win tonight. There's no reason why we can't beat this team. So I'm hoping this, being down the point right now, we can rally and at least go 3-1 or something. Hopefully.
Okay. Yeah, we just went into the first period intermission, and it's still 1-0 for the score update. We'll keep you guys updated throughout the show tonight. But thanks again, Anna, for joining us, and we'll look forward to having you on next week as part of our 4-year anniversary show.
That's so exciting. I'm so happy for you guys. So thank you again. Have a great night, and I'll talk to you guys next week.
All right, Anna, happy birthday, and talk to you next week. All right. Well, Robbie, I know we ran a little long in Capitals talk, so I'll go ahead and let you take over with the NBA Roundtable. I'm going to go ahead and end this Facebook Live feed now. I'll be back in probably about 15-20 minutes with XFL, DC Defenders after the music break. So make sure you check us out. Sports on the Hill podcast on True Radio Network. This ending this feed, and I'll be back soon. Robbie, go ahead and